being here. Well, this talk, as it says there, and you may have seen it in the schedule, it's about objects and messages for user interaction. Okay, so let's begin. As a summary, what I wanted to talk about is obviously about Smalltalk. Okay, but the important thing here, the goal I had with the software or the little library that I will show you now was that I wanted to be able to create interactive web applications. Okay, so not just Smalltalk, but also using it to create applications using Seaside and build on top of what already Seaside gives us. Okay, and also I wanted to keep the code simple because of course anything can be achievable, but I wanted it to be useful, to be reusable as well. So what's new? I mean, there's a lot of Seaside applications and there are a lot of talks. Why did I want to be here and talk to you? Well, because this is from my personal experience, as the warning says. What I did was I tried to learn a little JavaScript because as a Smalltalk programmer, of course, you say no, everything else maybe not so good as Smalltalk, but the truth is that JavaScript already provides a lot of stuff, solved problems for the web, for interaction. There are plugins for jQuery as a plugin on top of JavaScript, and all the plugins that go on top of that should be useful and usable by those wanting to use Seaside. So I try to just discover good practices on JavaScript and good plugins, and then reify those common concepts, because the idea here is that once I learn what I needed from JavaScript, I wanted to be able to go back to writing in Smalltalk. And what I'd like to do is that if in case anything of what I show you today you think it would be useful to you, then maybe my knowledge in the form of those objects that I've created and that little library, maybe it will help you too. Maybe you can improve on top of that, and that would be the idea. So what can be achieved? Well, let's see. I will show you now some stuff that already uses the library, so to motivate you to see that it may be nice to use what I'm going to show you. So let's see. No, that's fine. Okay, so this is a little something. This is something that Markup, where I work, has been doing. It does not seem like much, okay, but it's a reporting application. It starts simple, so you click to choose your report. Just, I don't know, maybe this one, okay. Then it says there to click to choose the parameters. You see, this is a web application, a one-page web application that's interactive. It's using Ajax to communicate with the server for everything that it needs. It has the parameters loaded there. The network process it. Okay, so you see, this is using Seaside, okay? But I did not have to write anything about the graphics. I did not have to tell it how to create these tables, okay? So you have, I don't know, Excel exporting or subtotals and stuff like that, but because there are already a lot of libraries using jQuery and JavaScript, and Seaside provides us the opportunity to connect with that. So this is the kind of application I wanted to build, and I wanted to be done using just Smalltalk. Also, on a more gaming-like note, this is, some of you have already seen this, and in the show us your projects you will see more today, but this is Era, okay? This is a role-playing application. It's using Seaside, and you see, I don't know, this menu that pops up is also using a jQuery application. You see there's, I don't know, dialogues, maybe, rendering of different things, you see. So the idea is to build stuff like this in writing just Smalltalk and get it in Seaside. Let's go back. Okay, so when you are looking for the tools for a web application, you say, okay, I want to build a web application. Most likely you will need HTML5, JavaScript, and a Smalltalk programmer will today has a high chance of choosing Seaside. But this is also already covered in many talks. But when you have to do web interaction, yes, you want to model the clicks, the triggers, everything related to the interactive web to create something like that, Gmail and stuff like that. What you really want is to focus on user experience, okay? But so you have to model the user interaction, something that is not intrinsically there in C-side. But it can be done. It can be done using JavaScript because C-side provides that. So we need some web interaction options. So how do we do that? How do we achieve just the C-side interaction? Okay, let's see an example. See, no? Okay, so this is a page, a web page. It's using C-side. Yes, it says write something, has an input field, a button. Okay, I remember I want a one-page web application. I do not want this button to submit, really. I want it to go to the server, process something, come back. I have a Faro here running it, okay? I will show you in a second. I know, I click there, and maybe it jumps, and then it focuses on the input. Also, just to prove that this is going to the server, if we go to Faro here, you'll see I have the halt here. Can proceed, okay? So what's going on here? I have all this C-side code, okay? The thing here is that for me, as a small-talk programmer, thinking in this way was kind of weird. So you have to know to write the div and to have the label and the IDs, and then I want JavaScript. So okay, if you know JavaScript, you know that this will produce the effect of the bounce that we saw, and then we want to go to the server and do a block that says halt, and then I want it also to focus on a particular widget. So C-side provides me this. The problem is that I think this is too complicated for a small-talk programmer. I would like it to be condensed in a small-talk way, so that everything I learned about JavaScript, I wanted to model it. Okay, so some of the web interaction objects that I propose as part of this library are the web views, triggering policies, web interaction commands, and the web component interaction that wraps it all up. What's a web view? Well, it's basically just some object. It inherits from a WA component, okay, like an image, a button, a combo box. So first of all, you have to reify the components, okay, not just a canvas text input, but something that when interacts with the canvas will create a text input. It also has to specify, because this is user interaction is a priority here, the component has to specify a triggering policy, like click, value changing for combo boxes, or key release for a text input, and it should be able to change, okay? Even in runtime, if I go to the server and I say, okay, re-render this part, and it has changed, it should have the new properties. And JavaScript should allow me that, and with a little help of C-side, I can do that. So how are web views used? Well, if you see the code here, let's see this. I will change it here. Simply. Simple demo. You will see, if I reload now, it will go to the other class. It looks quite the same, okay? So I click, okay, and again, I have the halt, okay? So basically I did just the same, just so you can see, but now the code is a little different. You see, this... No, estaba esto. Settings. ¿Ah? I tried this yesterday, and it does not increase the font, but it does not increase the font in the source. I don't know why. At least I didn't find demo mode either. I checked it. It's a 2, I think. Yeah, it's a far 2. Yeah, it does not have. I tried it yesterday. Okay, don't worry. What I just want you to see now that I have this single line text view. Okay, so that will create inputs. I have this label just so you can attach a label like HTML and a button. Okay, so you create a web view just like that. It's easier. So then you have the triggering policies, okay? What they do is they just translate to a JavaScript method, for instance, the onClick, and it starts to wrap all the knowledge there, okay? So if you have a click triggering policy, eventually it will say to the canvas jQuery this onClick and something that will be the core. Also, the triggering policy will ensure that interactive components will have an ID, and you won't have to worry about that little detail in JavaScript, okay? So it will have an identification assign or something and work with the canvas to get IDs. Then we have the most important part, the commands, okay? They represent common tasks. This is the part where anyone wanted to try this kind of library would be able to improve on it, okay? Because I have stuff that I've needed so far that have been used at Mercap to create an application, so you can evaluate Smalltalk code, render a web view, change component value, open dialogues, or use a specific JavaScript plugin, okay? That's what they try to represent. How do they do that? They declare actions. Each command says, okay, what actions should be taken on the client, yes, the web browser, before calling the server, because sometimes you don't need to call the server. What's the Smalltalk code that should be run on the server, if there is any? For instance, the breakpoint that we saw is going back to the server. And then also, which is something that Ajax provides, is if there's any action that should be taken on the client, yes, the web browser again, after you have your response. Maybe it's an error, maybe it's okay, maybe it's a timeout, stuff like that. So how are commands issues? Well, issued, let's see. For instance, here I have declared the button, and you just have to say, for instance, button on trigger. Okay, this does not say on click because I don't know to which object I would be talking. Okay.
Open a new browser.
New browser. Okay. Okay. Thanks. It works. Okay, so what you see there, you just tilt to the button. Okay, on trigger, you have to toggle this style, okay, on this other component using bounce that will produce the bounce effect. You have to serialize your container form because the button, we want the input to be sent to the server, and if we have a large form, we want all of the inputs to be updated, okay, for the callback to be called, and since we are using Ajax, we do not have all the call that is normally used in C-side. And then I want on trigger also to evaluate a halt, okay, so these are commands. The commands will know which actions to execute, and these actions will have a certain priority if it is required, okay. I know that to toggle an effect on the client, I do not have to call the client, to call the server, but in order to evaluate, this requires an Ajax call on the click of the button, so it will create the different parts of the script. And then I still require a form here, okay, and I have to tell it not to submit because I want it to be interactive, but then it just, okay, put the label input, put the button, that's it. So the web component interaction, then what it will do is it is initialized with a triggering policy. It will accumulate all of the commands because different parts of the code might like store these commands. As I put everything in one method, but it should be done in different methods as the system is being created. It will then collect all the actions from the commands, organize the commands in these different stages, and finally create an optimized JavaScript. Optimized from what I've learned and trying to minimize anything that might not be required. And the Ajax call is only created if required. Okay. So when is JavaScript created? Because so far everything seems to be Smalltalk. just so you can be sure there is JavaScript created. I will inspect this. Okay, I don't know. No, it's too small. Well, there's the JavaScript code that is created automatically. Okay, it will do everything that we just requested, and maybe we can see. Just so you know, you can see the hierarchy here. I have the different triggering policies. Okay, so you have the click, dialog, accept, double click, key release, value change. And the different commands that you can have. Okay, so you have a command to close all dialogues, component focus, dialog opening, evaluating command. This is already implemented and should be useful. Finally, the web component interaction, that it's the one that builds everything. Let's put a hold here. So what happens now is when I initially render the page, okay, I will get a debugger here. Okay. So you see the component that I'm working with here is most likely the input. Okay, so we'll not be checking this one. It has no commands. It will do nothing. This one here is the button, so it's a little more interesting. Okay, so you see, just as I explained, this is smalltalk, so here you can see how it can prepare actions, check if there's any to apply, then it will create a command and delegate to the triggering policy. Triggering policy will ensure the ID, okay? In this case, it says on click, and the asynchronous call, that is the complex object, you can see here. I send it grease string, so you can see how it gets to the browser. Okay, so you see, there you have it. It's created the minimum required JavaScript code to execute everything that we've requested, and Seaside, as always, is handling the rest of it. And so that's just what I wanted to show you. I will take questions now. Are there any? Questions? How? Well, this code that I've just showed you, it's like let's say version 3, okay, of the library, but it started like 2 years ago, I think, and it's been slowly evolving with more use. And the good thing is this is Smalltalk, so the more I learn, and once I brought it to Markup, more people started using it, so the more we learn about it, the more we can improve on it. Okay? Yes, yeah, what I showed you first, the reporting tool is using it, and the one that will be showing tomorrow also uses this. I mean, it's a part of it, okay? The interactive part uses this. Yes.
Do you have some metrics on how this makes easier development, or are these in lines of code? How?
Well, a simple thing I can show you that I just saw it. I don't take these metrics. I just know I felt more comfortable with writing Smalltalk than writing JavaScript directly in Seaside. But something you can see here is the code I showed. Let me see. Let's see, the first example I showed you was this raw Seaside demo view, okay? So I tried to do the same without using the library and using it. Of course, now I'm so accustomed to using it, it was very difficult for me to write this example, okay? And I wanted to try to do something more complicated because I knew I could do it with the other one, but then I realized I didn't know how to write it now in just raw JavaScript. So you see this has more than 600 characters, I think that's the metric, and the simple demo that I showed you just now is half of it, and it does more because there are a lot of things in the optimized, let's say, JavaScript that I create, for instance, that ensures that something like focusing on a component should be done after going to the server. That's just a decision I made, and so far it's been great. It could be changed, but there are things that should not be done before going to a server. They should be included in the response, although it's pure JavaScript. And that's something that would be even more complicated to do here. Of course, it can be done, because in the end, it's always C-side creating JavaScript. But it really eases the need to know all the little details, and every time you learn something about like a good practice on writing JavaScript or on minimizing the overhead of the messages, okay? Because if I want, I can create for this application here, the era, most of the actions go to the server, and every click tends to go to a server because I want to keep it updated, and because just it makes sense. I have made something triggered on KeyApp because I want to have a filter or something. And on this kind of application, maybe you have a form, a very large form, and you only want to go to a server after completing a form. So it's really easy to minimize the messages, not to minimize, to send the optimum number of things that you want, and you avoid, of course, re-rendering the whole page. That was the first idea, the main goal. So. Okay. Yes?
I've never used C-side for a more complex application, which is showing the company. I really don't know it, but you have a lot of experience. So how much of the modern web apps and what you're doing and the burden of writing this code that you simplified a lot with your library has to do, how much of the effort has to do with complexity that is for the client, like in the web browser, for the interaction of the user with the application, and how much of the complexity is because of the server needs to be complex. Do you understand?
No, the server just sees. I don't know. I think most of at least the thing. What I think this does, it avoids, or it somehow does not force you to know how to write the JavaScript code. And it also teaches you in case you want to know how it is working, and maybe then you learn a new trick, and you can improve, you can change maybe something in the library. I know we have some improvements on the handling of errors, timeouts, and that stuff. Does that answer it? Or?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
You know about the read library?
I've read something about it, but I've never used it.
Okay. So you cannot compare it to read, or?
No. Sorry.
There is no specific reason for not choosing it?
Sorry?
There is no specific reason for not choosing it, only your own?
No, this started just, as I said, because I wanted to learn, okay? And then once I thought as I was, as I went understanding, I just reified what I understood. So this is what I have now. I just wanted to share it.
So the library is not working parallel at night. The original working from VA is most of our visual.
I just I've shown this in Faro so that I could convince myself that it could be easily ported. Okay, I just used Monticello in the VisualWorks version I had. That was the most up to date. I exported it and I imported it in Faro, and so as to be able to create the examples in Faro, because I think it deserves this kind of tool. I know.
Is it open source? Is it available to download? Or?
Yes, I think it could be.
If you hurry up.
Up to now, I have no problem. I mean, I would love for people to give feedback on it. Maybe I should tidy it up a little bit before uploading it. No problem. Yeah. That's it? Okay. Thanks.